Hey guys, Patrick here with something way different, way out there, not something I normally do at all. But in my last video that I did on Dylan Thomas, I briefly mentioned that I created a superhero when I was in the first grade, when I was 7 years old, called Clam-Man. And I only mentioned this off the cuff as like a joke of, haha, wouldn't it be ridiculous if I thought that something I made as a stupid kid was like really clever, really awesome, actually, and just needed some tweaking to get working? Kind of pointing out that the flaw in Dylan Thomas's logic. And what I did not expect was the sheer amount of people down in the comments being like, yo, I want to hear more about Clam-Man. Like genuine interest in this stupid fucking character that I made when I was a kid. So, I thought it would be funny if we would read over some of the old comics I made when I was a kid. So I asked my grandparents, I was like, yo, do you still have any of the drawings me or my brother made as kids? Because maybe they would have lumped them all together or whatever, and I would just search through them and find them. And unfortunately and unsurprisingly, the answer was no. They had thrown them out years ago. So, unfortunately, the original Clam-Man comics are lost to history. But luckily, I was able to flawlessly recreate all the characters because my artistic talent has not increased since I was 7 years old. And I figured we would just talk about the character, for just based entirely off of my memory, just because again a lot of people were asking about it. So first, let's start with the titular character, Clam-Man. His origin story is that he was just a normal man who I never gave a regular name. So I guess he just doesn't have one. And he went out swimming on the beach one day when a giant clam tried to bite off his head. But for whatever reason, for literally no reason, the clam and his body fused and gave him a giant clam head, turning him into Clam-Man. And I specifically remember what inspired me for this particular origin story was Slowpoke into Slowbro from Pokemon, because he puts his tail in the water and then a shelter clamps onto his tail and he evolves. So that's where that idea comes from. I specifically remember. And what was funny is I was talking about this with a friend of mine, because I was telling her about how I was planning to make this video and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. When I was telling her about it, she was like, oh, so, is one of his powers that he can, spit pearls? And I was like, oh, that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? No, he just bites people's heads off. that one is clam related, but no, he doesn't do that. And his powers are that his clam head is both super strong and invulnerable, but from the neck down he is a normal human. And so going on to next, there will be pictures of him wearing a hat, and basically that'll be him in disguise, protecting his secret identity, which he never possessed, because he never had a real name. And this obviously was supposed to allude to Superman wearing glasses, but I don't think it was supposed to be a parody, if I remember correct. I think that this was because I was a stupid kid, I think that this was played entirely straight, like this wasn't a commentary on, oh, Superman just wears glasses, and shouldn't people recognize him? No, this was more like, oh, all Superman needs is glasses, so all Clam-Man needs is a hat. And no one will recognize him. so so yeah, that's, but again, he doesn't have a secret identity because he's only ever referred to as Clam-Man. So, you know, like what secret like he didn't have an identity before he became Clam-Man. So I don't know what I was thinking, but up next in the line of main characters, there is Jimmy. And this is, again, referring to Superman. This is obviously supposed to be like the Jimmy Olsen type character, where he just follows Clam-Man around and goes, "Wow, that's Kino! Awesome, Clam-Man!" And, like, just, like, be his best friend and stuff like that. Only, he was more like Robin in the sense that he was always around, even though he never did anything. Like, not to say that Robin didn't do anything, but, like, imagine if Jimmy Olsen was around as often as Robin. That is, like, what Jimmy in Clam-Man was. Is he was literally Jimmy Olsen, except he was there all the time. Like, for no reason. And he was Clam-Man's best friend. And he was the only one to know of his quote-unquote secret identity. And all that shit. But it's like... But it was just... I don't know. I guess I guess Jimmy only existed so that Clam-Man would have someone to, like, bounce off of, like, have someone to talk to. I think that was the only reason Jimmy existed, was just so that he could, like, tell him shit. And up last, the last character in Clam-Man is his arch nemesis, his main rival, his main supervillain, Greenface. And Greenface is just Jim Carrey's The Mask. That is literally all he is. Like, in power set, in personality, pretty much everything about him except he's, like, the main villain. And, I remember my brother, who was 9, read these comics, and he was like, "Is this supposed to be The Mask? Like, from Jim Carrey's The Mask?" And I was like, "No, he's Greenface. He's my totally original character." Because I was so embarrassed, I didn't want to admit that I just stole from The Mask. So I was like, "No, he's totally original. Okay, the Mask is called The Mask. This is Greenface, okay? He's a totally different character. Never mind that he's got a green face and a yellow suit and a polka dot tie." Those are all coincidental, at best. So those were the three main characters. Everybody else in Clam-Man was just like a background character, or you know what I mean, random cop, random robber, random civilian. There were like no other like people to speak of. Now let's talk about the tone of the comic, because this is the part that always, when I think about it, makes me laugh. Is that the tone of it was like very 1950s comic books, where everybody was just like a happy-go-lucky, jolly character. You know what I mean? Like, think of like Batman the Brave and the Bold, that kind of thing, right? Because that's specifically what that show was doing, tone-wise. It was exactly like that, where everyone was like, Jimmy would be like, "Golly gee, Clam-Man, the bank's being robbed," and Clam-Man's like, "I'm on the way," and then he would stop the robbers, and then the police chief would show up and be like, "Wow, great job, Clam-Man, you really saved the day." Like that, very, very generic, that kind of a thing, right? But what makes it funny, in my mind anyway, when I recall it, is that the way Clam-Man, and I've said this before, would stop villains, is he would gruesomely bite their heads off. Like, with his giant clam head. Like, they would shoot real bullets at him, and he would deflect them with his head until he would get close, and then he would just go, and, like, chomp their heads off. And, like, nobody reacted to it. Everyone would be like, "Yeah, get him, Clam-Man!" Like when Superman would just punch someone. And just, again, nobody would react like this was a gruesome thing that was happening in front of them. They would be like, "Yeah!" You know what I mean? So the tone was very, very inconsistent. And the robbers were dead. Like, it's not like, you know, it was like cartoony in that sense. Like, I remember one thing that happened in particular. Like, this is like the thing that comes to mind whenever I think of Clam-Man that makes me laugh, is there's like this one, I think this happens in like issue number 1 or whatever, but like these robbers, they're robbing the bank, and then Clam-Man shows up and they're like, oh shit, let's get in the car. And so they get in the getaway car, and they go to peel out, but they're like, what? The car's not moving. And then the camera like pans out to reveal that the bumper is being held onto by like Clam-Man's mouth, and then he like slowly just like drags the car like very slowly into his mouth while the robbers inside are like screaming like, no, please help. And like he just slowly like chomp 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 until like the whole car is in his mouth, and then like he chews it up and spits it out into like this giant like just ball of wreckage, and the robbers inside are dead. And then the police chief comes up and just goes, wow, Clam-Man, you really saved the day. Again, just after the gruesome ways he murdered people. And yeah, that was pretty much just how every story flowed. You know, it was like there was no overarching narrative or anything. It was just like a weekly, like I produce these weekly, but you get what I'm saying. Like it was like a very serialized thing where it was just like you know, robber of the week shows up. Sometimes it's generic guys, sometimes it's Greenface. You know, they battle, and then Clam-Man wins, and then Jimmy goes, wow, awesome. You know what I mean? And that was literally every issue of the comic. So for everybody who is asking about Clam-Man, there you go. That's pretty much the gist of the whole thing. And yeah, is again going back to my original point of I honestly don't think that this is a salvageable thing. So, you know, if anybody wants to prove me wrong, write your Clam-Man fan fiction and send it to me. Oh shit. But for real, guys, I hope that this satiated your curiosity at all. I hope that you got some laughs out of it. I know I did. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.